New Manon content will be coming in 7.0. Since we only have hints so far, we wanted to take a minute to review current Manon canon and legends. That and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 395. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi Seema, how's it going?
Hey Max, going pretty well. I've been sort of going with the flow lately since I finished off Galactic Season 1. So I've been sort of logging in to do my priority objectives for so long now that I'm just sort of like free floating now. And during that time I'm kind of looking forward to Galactic Seasons 2 to see how it's different and see how easy/hard it is for me to like sort of fit into it. So I haven't had that to do this week, but we did do MFN this week where we went and did Eternity Vault. We got a late start and we ran into a couple of glitches. But you know, maybe that's because we had a new patch, possibly, which we're going to talk about a little bit.
Yep.
And then we just finished our ops night tonight, where we went and did Dread Fortress and Dread Palace. And then we went to Balmora and ran around and killed some stuff in order to like look at how looting now works a little bit. So like a loot check-in.
Right.
We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Inside and outside of operations. Yeah, that was a good test. That was a good suggestion to go after that.
And then also I wanted to point out, this is like probably more detail-oriented or serious than anybody ever needs to be about Star Wars The Old Republic. But did you know, Max? You probably didn't know this. When you start like the space missions, the space missions on rails, when you do it for the first time, you get a major experience boost.
Oh.
So I've been thinking on my like DVL characters or other characters I have that didn't actually level through the story and don't have like a backlog of experience boosts.
Yeah.
Before 7.0, you can go and start your space missions and get like an experience boost to start off with.
If you've never started them, yeah, that's a good move.
Yeah, if you've never started them, it's when you run the first one and then do the first daily, I think, or at some point though, really early on, you get a major experience boost. But anyway, sort of been slowly working on that to get because who doesn't want an experience boost when we're going to be leveling? We probably won't need them.
This
is not really advice. This is just what I'm going to do.
No,
one of the things. But yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I've been having a good week. It's actually very chilly this week here in Maine. I've dragged out my space heater already, and it's like September 2nd. That's very early. But yeah, so good week though, and I'm happy to be here on Manon. It's been a while since I've visited my stronghold on Manon, and now we're like in the regular part of Manon. We're going to talk about Manon.
Manon.
Yeah. So that's it for me. I mean, how's your week been going, Max?
Going pretty good. As you said, we had a couple glitches in Eternity Vault. Took some new people through there. Took a nice leisurely walk through Eternity Vault. I was tanking, and my note here says, don't disco. No disco. Disco demolition. No disco.
Right.
I disconnected. As I often do. This has been a multi-year problem for me. I called Comcast. I finally called Comcast once after about 2.5 years of this happening. I called Comcast. No, I guess this has only been going on for 1.5 years. It was since I went to Gigabit. I get disconnected at between 9:55 and 10:05 p.m. every single night just from Star Wars The Old Republic. Not like my whole router resets or anything else. And I'm still on Discord. I can talk. But from Star Wars The Old Republic, and it for different services at different times of day, but between those times, every single night. I was tanking. We were on SOA. We were down at the very bottom level. We had already dropped one pillar on them. We had one or maybe two pillars to go, and I disconnected. And because I was main tanking and we did not have a second tank and I had aggro, I disconnected and he instantly reset and game over. So we actually did not finish because we have a hard cutoff at 10 p.m. And now we were down at the very bottom and everything was all reset, and that was a little disappointing. That was sad. That made me quite angry, although I tried really not to show it, because we had a lot of new people, and I was trying to make it fun for them, so I didn't start yelling. I muted before I started yelling at Comcast.
I mean, but that is
Comcast!
that is a glitch because,
Well,
you
also
know
SWTOR, yeah,
yeah,
because people do disconnect from time to time. That kind of
right,
stuff happens. No,
right.
you know
That wasn't like a valid, like, mechanic where
right,
if nobody's in melee range or something like that, it wasn't that, it was
right.
yeah, because, I mean, even in that fight, you could conceivably get sucked into a thing.
Well, but that you're still, like, part of I don't think that would do it. I think it was the disconnect that caused it. I don't think getting sucked into a mind trap would have done it,
Mind trap.
but
No,
yeah,
I don't
so
think
that
so,
was
but I'm just
made
saying
me
there's other things
angry.
that could happen that would make you not available to the boss that haven't reset him in the past.
Yeah, I'm often emotionally unavailable, but physically
And,
unavailable, it
I
would be a
mean,
little
if
bit more of a problem.
normally, if you woulda died or whatever, it just would've gone to it doesn't have it's not it wasn't because we didn't have a second tank, because somebody's
Right,
always gonna be the next
right. Somebody's
person
next on the
in
aggro table. Somebody could have picked it up.
yeah,
It was only
yeah,
story mode.
right.
So yeah, that was disappointing, but we
So,
got through it. And then we did
yeah,
our fun ops night tonight, flew through both Fortress and Palace, and had spare time to go mess around on Balmora, check out the bugs, and looting more, and then still had spare time. Well, we shouldn't have been doing story mode. We can't be doing story mode anymore. We're a little bit OP for story mode these days, it seems.
right, our gear is like yeah,
We are kind of tuned up and tweaked out and got it going on, if you know what I
but it's
mean.
fun.
But it's fun. What's also fun is the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
6.3.2. Let's get personal, Seema.
Yeah, so what Max is referring to is this is the patch of personal loot. So now there is no more master looter, round robin, free for all, nothing. It's just personal loot.
Yes.
Um, so that's what we were kind of playing with tonight to see how that works. Because normally when we go, like on MFN this week, we didn't go rampaging. We just were in um, Eternity Vault. So we went out into the world tonight as a raid team and we're killing stuff. No more forest of loot beams now, which
Yeah.
which is okay with me because I was kind of like torn. I mean, the way it used to be, you would go out with like a raid of people and kill a bunch of things. You would have to loot individually each mob to get your whatever was on there,
Well,
cracked bone or whatever.
and credits. I mean,
And credits.
it
Yeah.
was, but it was like 3 credits, but there was credits
Right.
on all of those different mobs too.
Right. And now, if in that same setting, there's really only a loot beam if it's your loot, and then you go over and pick it up. And like for instance, we went and killed 75 or 100 bugs, and I got one loot item, which was one gray item, which was
Well, that part's a little bit weird because
it is a little bit weird.
they seem to have it's almost like they've changed up the loot table because there seemed to be much less trash for one, and for two, no credits. No one got any
Yeah.
credits after killing 100
Right.
bugs.
Right.
So that's weird too. So I don't know
Yeah.
what's up
I
there.
mean, I kind of prefer it this way because it did kind of bug me. I didn't
Bugged her,
want to loot I didn't
guys.
wanna click I didn't wanna click on each body, but at the same time, I also didn't wanna leave stuff behind. So I was kind of torn all the time, but so this way, I mean, there's really no oh, okay. It's easier, so I like it. That's not a surprise to anyone, I'm sure. But, yeah, so there's that.
It
And then
is
also
much less annoying. I think
in
that's
the
really the
in
main
the
thing.
operations, it was the same way, like, whenever you got loot, it would just go right into your bag, nothing to roll on. Um And it does show in the chat just like it always has, so it's not going nothing secret going on in terms of the, people that are in your party or anything like that.
Sure.
So yeah,
It's so
but it
not secret that we were also, so here's a little pro tip to mess with your group mates.
Right.
/E is an emote, right? So you can
Right.
say /E Max receives and either link to something in your inventory and it looks really real. Like, well, Thon linked to a Zerka Cratomatic and hit, then it was like in the orange text, Thon receives Zerka Cratomatic. Or what I did was bracket Thunder Fury, comma, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, bracket. and we go with that. So there you go. There's a way to mess. I don't do it with strangers because people will be freaked out that you're getting stuff that you shouldn't be getting. But definitely do it to your friends. So there you go.
So also in reading over the patch notes for this, I was reminded of, how whenever they announce anything or there's always that one or two or many people on the forums that say, well, how about you never fix any bugs, but blah, 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 blah. Well, if you read through, there's a lot of bug fixes in this patch. And
Yes.
there's a lot of bug fixes in all of them,
Yeah.
really. Um, yeah,
This was
so
mostly a bug fix patch.
yeah, it was mostly. Um, one of the things that I kind of jumped out at me was the following flashpoints are now correctly counting towards the completion of Activity Finder Socialite 1, Conquest Objective, Lost Island, Kaon Under Siege, Secrets of the Enclave, and Spirit of Vengeance. So I know that was a little bit of a frustration to do Lost Island and then not have a count for everything you wanted to count for.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, yeah, doing Lost Island at all is a little
Right.
bit of an experience to not have it count. Yeah, would be
But
frustrating.
yeah, so there's a bunch of just bug fixes. I mean, you can read through the patch notes to find, your favorite ones, or maybe your favorite bug is in this list.
Yes, the thing that you've been waiting for, because you have had the Force Pilgrim's mask, and now it is no longer hiding the hood of the Force Pilgrim's robe for all body types. And now you are pleased, and you will come back to the game.
One of the things in here is like re-rolling a weekly GSF or PvP priority objective on a low-level character is now correctly changing the priority objective. Because I ran into that a few times where I would be on a low-level character, but it would re-roll to a priority objective that character could not do. So
Mhm.
I think what this is referring to is you would only get priority objectives that character could do.
I was most interested because there was a texture issues above the right elbow when the
Yeah, above
Tython
the right elbow.
Highlander chest piece was equipped on only these three body types: female 1, female 2, and male body type 3. Wow, that's quite a specific bug. But how can you have the Highlander on 3? There can be only one.
Oh my god.
Anyway. All right. So
All
yeah,
right,
tons
Max,
of
your
bug
turn.
fixes. Check them out. But not only bug fixes, there are still some bugs left in the game. They did put out a known issues update. There's another post in the bug tracker, in the dev tracker, that you can check out to read what the remaining known issues are. Go ahead and take a look at that. If there's some things in there that are still bugging you can check it out. Then there's also a couple additional notes across the dev tracker on things that they're continuing to follow up on, and that's Natha. She's been working on that as far as I can see there, keeping track of things that people are continuing to escalate, things that they thought were fixed that aren't completely fixed, etc., etc. But that's looking good. Guild and community news. We are going to be reshuffling our Friday schedules a little bit, so keep an eye out for that. But this one that's coming up tomorrow, so September 3rd at the sound of this airing, 2021, will still be, and every first Friday will still continue to be, for sure, a Flashpoint night for our guild. And Manon is going to continue to run that. If you want to do a Flashpoint night, jump in there on Friday nights for First Fridays. First Friday's Flashpoint night. The other nights, I think, are going to be getting shaken up just a little bit. So keep an eye on our guild Discord. You'll see more information about that before long. Shout out to the chat room. We got a bunch of people in there. We got some people jumping in and raiding from other places. That's always fun to see. A bunch of the usual suspects and a bunch of awesome other streamers, people who stream and podcast in their own right. It's great to see all of you. We will catch up with you after the show, and I will probably talk more movie talk like we were talking beforehand, and get into probably more book talk and digital sculpting and Blender talk. But now, maybe we'll have a little bit of digital sculpting talk, because we're going to get into a holocron of knowledge.
Deep in the ancient, monster-infested tomb of Marka Ragnos, there is a holocron filled with dark secrets and encased in a great stone monument.
Now we're going to talk about Manon, and I had up, and I was almost going to create a drop-in for Manon. I'm waiting. Do.
Yes.
Seema's resisting.
Well, I thought you were going to do it.
Yeah. What I did want to do for the hologram, though, I don't know if anybody saw on Twitter, because I worked hours on this. This is probably about 6 hours. I was learning some hard surface modeling. This is a holocron that I created in Blender, digital art holocron. There's the expanded version. There's the tabled version. Sitting on the reflective surface. I modeled the surface, the little bit of fog effect, the glowing effect. If you look close, this is our guild logo etched into the side of the holocron there. So I've got the guild logo. I textured it all up so it looked a little bit old and beat up. There's actually smudged fingerprints on the surface of the metal. And then I went with 2 colors, because a traditional Jedi holocron is a cube and blue. A traditional Sith holocron is a four-sided polyhedron, a pyramid, and red. Our guild is a little of both, little good, little bad, a little of both. So I did the Sith triangles on the corners and made those red, and I did the core of it blue. So there's a few little Easter eggs that sort of went into the design of this as well. I thought hard about it, and then I even did, I've been learning special lighting of scenes. So if you see the face of this cube is where most of the light hits, because that's what you want the viewer's eye to be drawn to, is the logo, the centerpiece of the piece of artwork. But this is a 3D model, so I could print pieces of this out, and I can reposition it and put it in other scenes if we need it elsewhere. So if anyone, especially for guild business, wants the 3D model of this hologram, either placed into a scene and turned into a PNG or a JPEG, or you want the an STL of the model, let me know. I'll get it to you. Anyways, little diversion there of AIE guild stuff. We have some art assets floating around now. Let's talk about what we came here to talk about, though, which is Manon. So Manon will be coming. We will get new content for Manon that will be coming into the game for 7.0. We don't really know what that new content is just yet. And we're not going to go further than what we know so far, which is the concept art. And we will talk about the news item, blog post, fake communique, Imperial communique that came out, which talks about a couple things, which alludes to some parts that we hope that they'll have in the game. What we did want to touch on, though, is canon and legends of everything we know about Manon. And Seema in particular did some great research here, which we'll let you lead off and talk about, Seema, on the parts that are canon and the parts that are legends, because there are some significant parts now that are canon, which is really fun, because this is an old Republic invented planet and scene and scenery, and now it has been brought forward into canon. So why don't you kick us off with that question, Seema, around it being canon and how we know for sure.
Okay, so first of all, Manon was basically introduced in KOTOR, so it's a BioWare creation, but it's now part of Star Wars canon, and that's evidenced by the fact that it's in it's called the data bank, which is on StarWars.com, and that basically just gives like the planet that it exists. It doesn't even have a picture of it.
Oh,
Um,
I thought there was something wrong. I'm trying to reload the page.
yeah,
It just
or maybe there is something wrong. Maybe there should be a picture. But and then it also, as canon, are two notable Selkath bounty hunters, Mantu and Chada Hioki. Um, and so they're in the databank as well.
and then you had an interesting point that it was weird that
Yeah.
these are the only two Selkath that are
That
canon.
are
And why
canon
is
and
that?
quote
Because
unquote famous to us, because the Selkath as a race are known for their peaceful, helpful culture. They care for their environment. Their their main industry is healing sick people. But as far as canon is, the only two famous ones that we know of are bounty hunters, and they're pretty, um, bloodthirsty ones too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of weird that that's what we get. So yeah, like this one, Mantu is a Selkath bounty hunter from the planet Manon. He was one of his species' greatest legends. Where did they show up? So I wanted to find out because the artwork looks like Clone Wars. Yeah, okay, Clone Wars. Yep, Clone Wars: The Box and Clone Wars: Crisis on Naboo. So we have Selkath showing up in the Clone Wars. That's pretty interesting.
But I think it's also interesting to me because, like, for a Selkath to actually go beyond Manon and go out into the galaxy, it has to be a special Selkath, right? Because their their main desire would be to like stay home, stay underwater, blah 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 blah. So they're
Yep,
out there.
they're out there. These guys
So
are
basically,
unhinged,
everything that we
unleashed.
know about Manon, like history wise or story wise or lore wise, is basically from legends,
Yeah,
which would include KOTOR and SWTOR, basically.
right.
But
And
we
that's
know
where it all started, right? KOTOR.
it's a water covered planet. There's some structures, since we are on one right now, that are on the surface of the water. Um, it's it it is the only known source of Kolto. So that is their claim to fame and importance in the galaxy, is this is where Kolto comes from. And Kolto is basically one of the most well-known like healing uh, substances. So you're aware of like Kolto tanks and Kolto abilities from various healers in the game. So
Right.
that all comes from Manon.
And that Kolto is canon too, right? So
Yes.
and Kolto has been referenced as recently as in the High Republic novels. They've talked about Kolto and brought up Kolto, which I thought was
Yeah.
interesting. And I kind of missed it when I was reading them. I wasn't looking for every single little reference. But that's interesting. But it's Kolto as opposed to, well, there's actually two, and I forgot what the third one was, but it really doesn't matter. But it's Kolto versus Bacta, right?
Right.
And
And
you
and
looked that up, and then I'll bring up your
so
your meme. So Seema created a meme to explain what's up with
because I'm
Kolto
just,
versus
a
Bacta.
modern kind of person.
Seema made
Um,
this meme.
so yeah. So Bacta has been around for a long time, but it was not as readily available as Kolto. But when Bacta started to become, it's actually stronger and more sort of like magical in its qualities than Kolto. So when it started to become more and more available, it overtook Kolto in popularity by far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people kind of stopped using Kolto.
Yeah.
And everything went to Bacta, especially by the time of like the Clone Wars. Bacta was synthetic. Bacta was being produced. In Legends, even during that time of Darth Vader, even during the Darth Vader era, they did. Again, this is all just Legends, but they did go back to Manon and enslave the Selkath and bring back Kolto, because Palpatine wanted to just use Kolto because it was cheap and he could enslave all these Selkath
Right.
to get it for him. Started using some Kolto again in that era for Legends, but it was all Bacta these days, boys and girls.
The reason I put the distracted boyfriend as the Republic is because there was a period of time on Manon when, well, basically Manon, as this, they use their ability to harvest Kolto and market Kolto to remain neutral between the Republic and the Galactic Empire, but that didn't last, right? Because it couldn't, it never would. And it's at some point they ended up kicking the Empire off their planet because they tried to overthrow the Manon government, and the Manon government said, you're canceled.
Yes.
So then they were sort of partnering with the Republic, but at some point the Republic started to get easier and cheaper access to Bacta, and so they kind of pulled away from Manon for that reason, and that's why I put the Republic there in the meme,
Yeah.
and not both of them, because at that point the Galactic Empire was already out of there. That was long before Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine came back with interest.
Yeah, even during the Old Republic era, there was always conflict over Kolto with the Selkath. The
Right.
rise of the Sith was getting the Republic very nervous, and the Republic ended up talking to a sect within the Selkath to say, "Hey, you guys got to watch out. This is what they do. They're gonna mess with you. They're gonna try to take over your government. They're gonna try to take you down. They're gonna try to take over your planet. What we'd love to do is just make you aware and potentially work with you on the side just to keep balance." And the Republic ended up creating a secret mining facility with a rebel faction of the Selkath, where they were doing that for a little while. So
And
that's kind of
yeah.
interesting.
Also, Manon is where Revan found a map that was one of the maps that led him to the Starforge. So it's in the Revan story.
Right. It was one of the 4 pieces that was found on Selkath. Choices that matter. There is a choice that you could have made in your story with Revan that would have potentially destroyed all Kolto. So hopefully you didn't do that. Otherwise, you now have to never be healed again in Star Wars: The Old Republic, because choices matter. So there you go.
So the city that they built on the surface was called Otto City. But
Right.
the main feature of it, or a feature of it, was built over the Hrockert, that's how I say it, rift. And that was one of the most abundant sources of Kolto on the planet. But also in this rift were living some sharks, Phyraxan sharks, and a really big one, the famous one, is called the Progenitor, which the Selkath believed to be the source of Kolto and possibly even the source of the Selkath race itself.
Yeah.
So basically, that's why when we read this intelligence report that was published on SWTOR.com, which we're going to talk about in a second, they reference the Hrockart Rift and they say, sure, go in there if you want to be eaten by a giant shark.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, we'll read that out at the end in detail. But they do. So the devs have referenced that potentially for 7.0. Maybe we'll get to see these sharks or even the progenitor shark itself. But that again explains a little bit more about Kolto. Kolto is in the bottom of the ocean in these trenches. Nobody's exactly sure what the substance is, and some of the legends either say it comes from the sharks or the progenitor, or the progenitor of the sharks are drawn to it. In fact, that's one of the more prevailing theories, is that like the progenitor, this giant old ancient shark, has been feeding off of it, and that's why it's stayed around so long and gotten so big. But it's the stuff that gets mined out of these the trenches, the deep sea trenches, where all of this stuff is where all the Selkath live and where they've been protecting it and where it's been part of their culture for a long time. Bacta, on the other hand, is a combination of 2 different bacteria combined with sort of like a gooey amniotic kind of fluid and a type of barley. And when I read that, it made me realize Bacta is just a kind of beer. And we all know beer
Beer has healing
has healing
properties
properties. So
for
I
sure.
buy into it 100%.
Yeah.
But Kolto, yeah, Kolto is some other sort of goo off the bottom of the ocean that we're not exactly sure what the deal is. But yeah, now there
So in
is,
SWTOR,
yeah, go,
yeah, I was gonna say in SWTOR we mostly use Kolto for healing, but there
but
is
only mostly.
um only mostly there is an ability that references Bacta, and it's actually not on the Merc, it's on the Commando. It's
Yeah, so
called
that's
Bacta
weird.
Infusion. Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit weird. Not this one. I've got pictures of the Debs stuff. Um, yeah, I thought that was a little bit weird that even back here in the Old Republic days that we're using some of the a little bit of Bacta, which is fine. Who knows whether that would ever become canon, that Bacta was really used, but maybe the Mercs scrounged some up, some early prototype Bacta that was being created. Nobody really knows much about it yet, and it just the Mercs are using it a little bit, and that's the deal. I
The
think that's kind of
troopers,
cool.
but yeah,
Or
commandos.
commandos, you said? Oh, but
Yeah.
commandos. Then the commandos should be turning it over to the Republic then, and the heck, man. Well, no, I don't know.
Well, they're
That's not
getting
as
it from the
canony.
Republic
Yeah, but where's the Republic getting it? If they've got access to Bacta now, why isn't the transition to the
because they don't have they can because it's easier
yeah, maybe it's
and
super super rare, and
yeah,
they don't know
still
much about it yet.
still easier to get Kolto.
Yeah, and again, in the Clone Wars days, it's synthetic Bacta that is the big explosion in use. Oh, here's one of the pictures. Here's some of the concept art for Manon, where it shows their um, the mining facilities on the bottom of Manon, where
It
you can
also
see they're
shows
like
Eric and Charles,
it does. It shows Charles and Eric Musco. But yeah, here's
but
one of
they're
those
not really
C4
underwater.
mining facilities. They are not underwater. True, true. I don't see any sharks with frickin' laser beams. Here's the surface. Now this looks like an Imperial assault, obviously. It's got Imperial destroyers in the sky and tethers going to the ground and smoke coming out here. Is this stuff on fire? Or is those lights? That looks like it might be on fire. Ooh, maybe the bad things are happening on the surface. So there's only one major city on Manon, which is this Otto city. And the rest of because the Selkath don't need surface cities, they would just live underwater. They made the surface city as a trading post so that
Right.
people could come and get Kolto from them. And yeah, as Simo was saying, Kolto was enough of a commodity that they could, to some degree, although it went bad, they could use it to maintain balance. It was a powerful enough commodity that they could stay neutral, they could maintain their independence, and they could maintain balance to some degree. Reminds me of spice in Dune. Just being able to have that power of such a valuable substance, that it gives you the ability to control your political destiny, at least just a little bit. But yeah. What else? What else? This meme still cracks me up.
Well, yeah. I guess what's left is to kind of speculate about, since we are going to get something of Manon in the X pack. It's like, what do you think it's going to be like? I don't think it's going to be underwater stuff. Like, so I don't think we'll go swimming around and run into Firaxan sharks, but I kind of do think that.
We have had one underwater adventure in the game so far, which comes in the HK55 bonus chapter with when you assault the Shroud's underwater facility. Spoilers. Where you meet Zoom. There is a part of that chapter where you actually do a little bit of battle, and you're underwater, and your sounds are underwater. You're down there underneath. So they could. We
Yeah,
could do
they
some
could.
underwater stuff, and I would be all up in that. I always
I
liked
mean,
the underwater stuff.
they could do it in a way that we don't have to swim, just like they did in that chapter.
Right. Right. You're not really swimming around, so sure, that could work just fine. That
Yeah, we had
was
underwater walking, and then the part about it being underwater would just be like effects and stuff like it was in the chapter,
yeah,
and also music in that
which
chapter,
were
by the way,
good.
too.
I liked the effects. I think it played well. And they're talking up, I mean, in the lore, in canon, and in the intelligence report, fraction sharks keep coming up. If we do
Right.
not get to get our hands on a fraction shark, or get a fraction shark hands on us, whatever the case may be, it's gonna be a little bit disappointing. So yeah, I agree. We need
You know
some
what else they mentioned in that
fraction
article
sharks.
that kind of got my attention too is they mentioned the shroud.
Did they mention it? Oh, because
There's like a spy station left behind of his or
really,
hers, I guess I should say.
that's okay. So here's the intelligence report. So let's skim it just a little bit. So it's
Well, here's the
written.
shroud part. It says, additionally, assets in my spy network have heard whispers of underwater devices on Manon, purpose unknown, that once belonged to the unaffiliated spy, known only as the Shroud.
All right. Well, again, spoilers, but Shroud in theory is dead. So, but still, the reference to the Shroud, or having parts of the Shroud's spy
He's one of our favorite
networking
guys.
devices left around makes sense, because he had the Shroud's paws were everywhere potentially. Intelligence report. So it's kind of cool. It's like, written as like a little bit of a role play kind of thing. It's written from the what's his name? What's a Darth is writing this up. Darth Xarion, Xarion, Sphere of Galactic Influence, is writing up a report on Manon for the Dark Council or whoever. So dispatch for commanding officers of the Imperial military. Report Manon invasion. Manon invasion. Okay, well the report's name is Manon invasion, and we've got concept art of Republic or Imperial ships that look like they're assaulting and invading Manon. Galaxy-wide resource shortage continues. We can no longer consistently rely on our established suppliers of medical necessities. This includes a trade deal currently in effect with the Sith Empire and Manon. Intelligence suggests that the Selkath believe they can avenge the destruction caused by our bombardment of their homeworld decades ago by only allowing us a meager procurement of Kolto, despite their overabundance of the resource. So the Dark Council has authorized an offensive against Manon. This is, I think, key to alluding to what we're going to get in 7.0. Although this then goes on to say, why is careful planning required? And I think in the context of this report is what we're getting the opportunity to get some hints as to what we might see. Points of interest and locations to avoid in particular is what we know is there already. Some of the things where we can already visit, like Otto City, that's talked about in particular. Mercantile Plaza, which already exists in the game, but they talk about it a little bit more as being a centerpiece of what we should be paying attention to. And then the part which is the hidden resources and the Rakert Rift. Is that how you pronounced it, Seema? I forgot.
Yeah, that's close.
Rakert?
That's, yeah.
Hrakert. Rakert. Yes, I think we. This is my ASMR for the night. Rakert. There you go. Hidden resources. Talk about reports prior to the Revanite crisis that Darth Arcus was down there. Because remember, we do the Manon flashpoint, and it's with Darth Arcus down here, underwater, on Manon, is where we encounter Darth Arcus and the other guy. What's the other guy's name? Get him, Arcus.
I don't know. I don't remember. We were just there too.
It's the Darth Arcus is the Imperial guy, and who's the Republic guy? both of them had defected to the Revenites, and that's what we were chasing down. And it was Derek. Yeah, Derek and Arcus. You got him, Derek. Get him, Arcus. That's what their voiceover when you're fighting them. Derek and Arcus. So Derek and Arcus were down there. That's where we meet them, and it's revealed that their identity was revealed as part of that flashpoint. That's also where we meet Jakaro. Oh, that's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna do as part of this podcast. I forgot, Seema. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it next week. We ran the whole flashpoint for you all, and we recorded it. How did I forget that? Because we did it because we recorded it like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were gonna walk through the flashpoint. we'll Okay, so then maybe next week we'll actually show you the flashpoint.
Wait, we had a plan?
Crikey. Because here we
Right.
are, 40 minutes in. It's not
We
enough time.
planned too far in advance, and then we forgot.
We met them down there. So why don't I just stop talking about that? We'll talk about that more next week. Who we meet down there and what it looks like when we get down there. But yeah, so this part about the spy network and the shroud, that's kind of interesting. And then this whole bit about the Rackert Rift, I think is interesting. And hopefully then we get to see that. And that's what seems, back to this concept art. I'll put that up. That's what the concept art seems to be. At least two of the pieces seem to be focused on the Rackert Rift. So I hope we get to see it more. There's this interior part, which sure we'll get that, and that's easy to do. We'll have a busted up part that's under assault, and here's a Jedi, in some corridors, and you're gonna have to go fight sky troopers or something. I don't know, but the stormy surface parts, the surface part under assault, this part here looks really interesting, and then hopefully the Rackert Rift parts, including Firaxian sharks.
So one thing that really kind of intrigues me about this intelligence report and the sort of plan to invade Manon is it makes it seem like now the story on the pub side and the Empire have to be different.
Right.
As opposed to how recently stories have been going, they're just the same, except for it's Republic people doing the same thing as Imperial people. But now if there's going to be an Imperial invasion of Manon, does that mean when you play through on the Republic side, it's just going to be a Republic invasion of Manon, or are they going to be?
No, it could be the way they did the temple, temple descent on Dantooine, which was the Republic got here first, so now we need to get in there. Oh, the Imperials got here
yeah.
first, so we're gonna need to get in
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'm. Yeah, that's yes, exactly. That's what I was alluding to.
Yeah. So
where they just change it.
So they could try to do that here, hey, we're in the middle. This is our Imperial assault, but we've got with the Republic is trying to defend, and we need to bash down 3 bosses magically, and then the same vice versa. But hopefully, because they're sort of telling a story here, the story will potentially be a little bit richer than just. I mean, the story was a pretty identical between Republic and Imperial for the Malgus stuff, because it was all about Malgus. Malgus was there, and Malgus did his thing regardless of what faction you were coming in.
Maybe it'll be more like Osis, how Osis had different stories.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Because if it's an Imperial assault, then the Republic can still come there and try to save, but it's not a Republic. It's not a Republic assault. A Republic's not going to go assault Manon. So yeah.
You'd think.
You'd think. But you get one of those bad chancellors in there, and all hell breaks loose. I liked how they had a little
don't
bit
make
of
assumptions.
Assumptions make an as out of e and oo. Wait, what? I don't know how that goes.
Makes an ass out of you and the Republic.
Seema said ass.
I did. Because I didn't want to say as.
I like makes a sum. That's what I used to say. It makes a sum out of you may.
Right.
or whatever that means. Should anyone choose to disobey this command, their fate will be decided by the monstrous Firaxan sharks that overrun the rift. Challenge accepted. I shall disobey
Well,
the command.
because you're going to jump into the rift.
I am going to jump into the rift.
Right.
No
if it's
doubts
possible
there.
at all, there will be rift jumping.
One other thing I did want to definitely talk about and show off here is a fun thing about the Manon that is in the game, besides the flashpoint. Because the surface of Manon isn't all that interesting, besides as an entry point to the flashpoint or the couple story beats that happen in little phased parts of the city and the market plaza here. But there's a stronghold, right? Does everybody remember that there's a stronghold?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think everybody
that's
remembers.
how I-
This is one of those things you
That's
just
how I
forget.
that's how I got here in the first place.
That is not how I got here. Dumb me. The board for the stronghold is right here, I noticed, sort of inside. That's the landing area out there where the shuttle comes down. But let's go to my stronghold and take a look. I will invite you, Seema. Would you like an invite? An invitation?
I would.
You know, if Seema's a vampire,
We have to-
her
we have to
powers
group up first.
will now be available to her because I am inviting her into my stronghold.
Right.
That's terrifying.
I can't enter without an invitation. Which, by the way,
Invites. Are we in a group?
What We Do in the Shadows season 3 premiere
Oh.
today.
Nice.
Except it's on FX,
Leave
which
me
I
to
don't
do
get.
my dark bidding. Oh, really? What are you bidding on? I've got this set of shelves here on eBay. Seema, I need to invite you to a group to get you into my stronghold. Can do. Group. Invite to group. Step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. What is that? What am I even doing? Invites. Invite group. And I will take you on a tour of my barely decorated stronghold. Got a few things on the outside here. If you look at the hooks, fair amount of hooks. Is that a deco? Or did that come with that? No, that's a deco I put there. The Statue of Eternal Grace. And I got little gazebos there. What are all these statues I've got? All of HK. I got a bunch of HK statues. That's really creative. Just a whole bunch of HK statues. This was back in the day. So this stronghold came out when we still needed to decorate our strongholds to 100% to get the stronghold bonus. So you will notice quite a few repeated decorations all over the place, like all of these chairs down the middle of the entryway here, and all of these I must have somehow gotten like 999 of these. And I guess I had 100 of the scrambler grenades in a suspension chamber. So I put them all the way down here. This stronghold, though, is quite cool. Are these decos, these waterfalls? No, they're not. They're just part of here. There is a waterfall deco that you can get, which is super cool. I don't have one, though, I don't think. I need to get one of those. But the coolest thing about this stronghold is part of it is above ground and part of it is not above ground, but above the water, and part of it is below the water. So if you take the elevator down, again, look at all the repeated decos all over here. Just wait till we get to the chairs. Rooftop garden. I forgot. So there's a rooftop garden before you go down, and then there's the underwater observatory, which is super cool. Oh, I made it a little bit
found the
gardening.
chairs.
There's quite a few chairs in the rooftop garden. But there's some gardeny stuff here at least. So there's an indoor part of the rooftop garden and then an outdoor part of the rooftop garden. Wow, look at all these chairs. Man. Oh, look, more chairs.
The funny thing about this is that the
chair?
furnishings aren't required anymore by Conquest, so it's sort of like not only have we not decorated our strongholds, because mine is like this too, We haven't even undecorated them.
Well, yeah. Why undecorated it? This is my house of chairs. We like to have a lot of seminars and working sessions, symposiums, where we need a lot of chairs. So here's many many chairs. This is a whole room full of chairs. But look down. Look, you can look through the glass below. So now we're down on the underwater observatory part. You can look down and you can see fishes and street creatures swimming around down there. You can see different kinds of like corals and stuff. It's quite cool. You can look out the
Yeah, I
window
like
here.
that.
Out the windows, there's deco hooks. You can see I put a Jai Qualo's sandworm deco out there in the ocean for some reason. But there are hooks outside in the windows on the ocean floor, and you can put stuff out there. Let's put something different than the... Oh, here. Let's put a Rancor. Let's put Grob Thok out there. Oh, that's awesome. I like that. So Grob Thok is out there underwater now. Oh, look. More chairs. You can also, I think there's some creatures out there you can see swimming by. There's sort of like seaweedy kelp things. This is quite a cool place. And they did a good job of giving you the underwater parts as well. There's a deco pack as well for Manon specific decos. In fact, I think I have the deco pack and I just haven't opened it. Yeah, game of chairs. You know what? I think I could invite the entire server to a game of musical chairs in many of my strongholds. Oh, that's a nice light. I think, yeah. Lights are one of the most important parts of your strongholds. Do not neglect the lighting. The Masasi ceiling light. That's nice. Look, it's those glowing paper
That is
lantern
nice.
type globes. I like that.
And it gives off a lot of light too.
Yeah, various lights have various levels of light that they emit from a deco perspective. You got to watch that. If you really want to light up an area, there's some that look interesting but don't give off much light, and others that give off quite a bit of light. But I think the best part of the underwater part is just being able to look through the glass floor here and see the fish and coral and stuff underneath. It's really cool art. Is yours decorated significantly differently, Seema? Should we go and look at it, or are we good?
No. We're good.
We're good. Yeah. So I'm excited. Let's take one last look at the concept art. I'm excited to see the updates to Manon. It will be a daily area. We did get that announced so far. In fact, do I have the notes on it? The war has spread. Darth Malgus is fighting. Yeah, Manon. Sith Empire has invaded to seize Kolto of vital medicinal resources. The pristine ocean world we know now shattered by war. Battle for control of the planet with separate republic and separate. Well, there we go. And then in the slide, they even say specifically a separate republic and imperial storyline. Okay. They know we've asked for it. They know it's important to us.
Yes, and I probably saw that, and now I...
No, it's because you were asking for it. They went back and put it into the slides.
Right,
Well done,
exactly.
Seema. Explore surface structures, underwater facilities, and the ocean floor. Okay, so there they said it. How we explore the ocean floor, I guess, remains to be seen. But right there in the bullet, explore surface structures, underwater facilities.
Real heavy boots.
Heavy boots, weighted boots, or mag boots, and the ocean floor is just all like iron.
Yeah, it's an iron ocean floor.
Iron alloys. New daily area accessible once the storyline is complete. I kind of like that. We've got
me too.
The old school daily areas, which the
Like
good ones. Oricon, CZ198, Black Hole, Section X. It'll be great to have another daily area. Hopefully it's of that magnitude. It sort of holds up against those. And we have a place to go and do dailies when we need to or want to. Those still are useful and good from time to time, and a good source of credits if you're not like making stuff to put on the GTN running through a bunch of dailies is a good source of credits and conquest points. It'll get you to your conquest target, which then gets you more credits because then you get the encryptions at the end of the week and that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
do it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anything else you got to say, Seema? What are you most looking forward to out of the new Manon? So they're not a
Just
flashpoint. Is there a flashpoint?
yeah,
No.
there's going to be a flashpoint, but I
But-
don't think they've said
No,
if it's going to be a
but the
Manon
flashpoint is
flashpoint.
not a Manon. The new flashpoint is Elam. Remember?
Yeah.
The Elam musk?
Yes. Yes.
Which is
yes.
the odor that you smell when you get there. You smell the Elam musk.
I'm not looking forward to that odor.
So
No.
this must be like a chapter. And then once you do the chapter on Manon is when you'll get to unlock the dailies. Or whatever, story content and not a flashpoint. Well, because we already have
I'm
Manon
actually
flashpoint.
looking forward to the most probably is to see how the dailies are
Yeah.
and how they feel and everything.
Yeah. I'm most looking forward to the ocean floor and what they give us and what they let us do down there. They did it before. If they can
Under the
eke
sea.
out under the sea. Down where it's wetter. Life here is better. Check it and see. Or whatever he says. Sebastian. Oh, Sebastian. So yeah, hopefully CZ style dailies and not IOCath style. IOCath is a little bit rough. That is correct, Forster. Good point. I agree. Should be interesting. Glad we're talking about it. We wanted to get a couple of these things in before we see it on the PTS. This kind of story thing we might not even ever see on the PTS. Hopefully we'll get to at least try out the dailies so we can give feedback on them. But because it's a story element, that's the kind of thing they tend to not show off on the PTS. So
Right.
we might not. Either way, we're looking forward to it. It'll be coming in the 7.0 update, and we'll go from there. We'll be the judge of how good it is when it comes out.
Yeah, we will be.
Until then, we will take an EPC droid, EPC 395, and kick it out an airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you out there. For podcast links, please follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray. That's where I put up when the podcast is going live, which I did not do tonight. That's right. We had plenty of people in the chat room. Everybody knows what's going on. If I ever forget to do that, chat room, feel free to do it for me or remind me to do it. I can even do it while we're doing the show. We'll do it live. If you know anybody that should be watching for those tweets, they can follow me at MaxTheGray. They can also follow us on Twitter and on Twitch at twitch.tv/newoverlords, or find our guild information at aie-guild.org. Our guild Discord is right there in the upper right. That's the best place to find our guild Discord. Somebody had trouble finding it earlier this week. I just got a in-game mail from someone. It's on aie-guild.org in the upper right. You can get in there. We have guilds on the Republic and the Imperial side of Starforge. We would love to get you in the guild, get your guild invite. You can play with us on our Tuesday night fun nights, our Friday night events, and all the other things we have going on. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.